organizing today a meeting today and tomorrow, a meeting on sustainable consumption in Nepal, because Nepal has been an important country as part of a big project that is gathering 19 Asian countries to together find solutions to promote growth through more sustainable consumption and production. On sustainable consumption, there are two aspects. One is that in Nepal and in the Asian region, you have, and that's a good thing, more and more people going out of poverty. So they are changing the way they are consuming. And very often what we can see is that when you're changing the way you're consuming not only more, but you're consuming products which are more energy intensive, which are more resource intensive, and the impact on the environment is not good. And at the end of the day, if the environment is harmed by our consumption patterns, it's everybody which is harmed by our consumption patterns.
About 20 years ago, plastic bottles, 25 years ago, plastic bottles, plastic jars were a rarity in my part of the world. We used to preserve them, we used to reuse them. We used to joke that those bullock-cart would ultimately end up as sandals and shoes. That's no longer the case.
Sustainable consumption is really looking at the well-being of the people at all levels. It means from the richest to the poorest, maybe even to the marginalized. Everybody has a decent living and looking after their requirements so that nothing enters the environment as waste. We ensure a healthy generation will lead to again another healthy generation, and we will ensure the future generations will have their resources for their use.
So the sustainable consumption and production is the only way through which we can have the sustainable development, and we can have our planet sustained from the pollution problems created by our development endeavors. Minimum resources are used so that we leave something behind for our future generations to come.
Sustainable consumption and production should not hamper the development efforts in developing countries. Rather, it should focus developing more efficient and cleaner technologies and products in order to reduce waste, with special focus on reuse, recycle, recover, and resource efficiency. I do believe that sustainable consumption and production and resource efficiency can contribute to breaking the link between economic growth and environmental degradation, taking into consideration the carrying capacity of the environment.
So if you think about moving and shifting to more sustainable consumption and production patterns, actually can mean that you end up in a win-win situation. A win-win situation for the environment and the climate, and at the same time also a win situation for each and every individual if you think about economic considerations. So you can produce more effectively, you can be more efficient in your ways of producing products, but you also can consume in a more sustainable way. And especially when you think about the private sector, there's a lot of potential for saving costs actually with moving towards more sustainable production practices.
Policymakers have a key role to play.
as policies are now needed to move from successful stories and interesting small projects to larger impacts.
Consumption is a very huge and complex issue which cannot just be left to individual consumers alone. So it is actually the role of the government to make sure that there is a right environment, that there is a right infrastructure, and that consumers have the right sort of behavior or temperament in going about their daily lives in a sustainable way.
The most effective way in promoting sustainable consumption in my country is to empower the people. The government, of course, has to enable all the people to work in this order, that is for promotion of sustainable consumption, by providing a suitable environment, enabling environment, and in that they should have the policies as well as regulations.
In Pakistan, the concept of sustainable consumption and production per se is a relatively new concept. But we are doing it in one way or the other, and we are very conscious about the resource efficiency. We are a resource deficient country, and we need, for example, energy and water. We are adopting policies for energy efficiency and energy conservation and water conservation and using them in a most optimal way.
The community forestry initiative in Nepal, which is very much successful because the local community themselves, they are conserving the forest and they are using the forest products in various ways. So we are always, the government is always, encouraging such kind of, initiative because the Nepal is totally dependent on the natural resources.
Human resources is the key priority of the government because now we are preparing for becoming the ASEAN Economic Community by 2015. Then we realized that the investment still continue to rely on natural resources. Then the capacity building for the people to understand the value of the natural resources is the first point to understand.
The government must have the policy to balance and harmonize between the economic development, the social issue, and also the environment, as well as the equality between the consumer in the rural area and the urban area, and also the other stakeholders.
The major roles of the government is like the facilitator. We have to facilitate from the policy. The government should have the policy on this issue. From the policy come to the plan. From the plan to the like the regulation or some rules for the government side or for business. From that, the most important thing is how can we change the behavior of the consumer, not only the business, their supply chain, but include individual people. That is the most important part.
The government has established a National Council on Green Growth and the General Secretariat for Green Growth to direct the implementation of the policy and the component of the ACP in the national policy on green growth and the national strategy on green growth 2013 to 2030, which laid down the comprehensive strategy and action plan for the mainstreaming and implementing the ACP. The government encouraged the multi-stakeholder to be strongly involved in the implementation of the ACP for resource efficiency and quality product, which take into account the life cycle and the lifestyle approach.
The effective ways in promoting sustainable consumption in my country is to promote the education on the sustainable consumption to all levels of the society.
The Switch Asia program, funded by the European Union. With Switch Asia, we support Asian countries in their efforts to move towards sustainable consumption and production patterns. We also support activities in the area of policy support. And this is done currently with the United Nations Environment Programme on a regional level, where Unep engages in capacity building activities and workshops to actually work directly with policymakers.
In each government, there's a number of people who understand that the current development pathways are not sustainable, that they have environmental impacts that are undesirable, and that also they have social implications that we would like to avoid, and that they are motivated to take action, but as individuals they don't really know what to do. It's necessary to find like-minded people in other ministries and also in other countries working on similar issues to strengthen these people and to make them become champions within their government. There are actually opportunities for taking action and to share experiences on how that can be done in a practical way. I think is very meaningful.
Asia Pacific has a large population, almost 2/3 of the world population, so there is a big room for implementing the understanding of sustainable consumption, then further move into the different areas that a consumption's impact on environment from its entire life cycle perspective, from extraction of raw material to the end of its life. So there is a important role that Asia Pacific can play, and we call it the center of gravity for this planet.
One of the very good things is that the main lifestyles in Asia are within sustainable limits, and so what really needs to be done mostly is to protect this segment of the population that is living sustainably. And what governments can do is make sure that the social infrastructure that is influencing consumption or the development pattern that they're using doesn't push away these sustainable practices, but rather sort of institutionalizes them and entrenches them in the new developed Asia that we are looking for.